Last week I got back from a Bible camp called Camp Agape. Camp Agape is basically a summer camp or a late summer camp designed for children who have one or more of their parents incarcerated. So all the children who attend this camp, they've been living with a parent who's in prison. The camp is from what I understand is fully funded by donations. None of the children who go to the camp pay, and most of the people who are working at the camp are volunteers. And that was what I was doing. Over the weekend, I spent time, I was on the green team. I'm representing. Over the weekend, I was spending time with the children who were on the green team. Mostly I spent time with the boys, but I also had some interactions with the girls because we did things as kind of a team event, or as a team. But through the weekend, I got to spend time with 10 different boys, and I got to learn a little bit about their lives. I got to understand some of what they're going through. The overall camp experience was very transformative for me, and it was especially transformative for me because I didn't want to go in the first place. I had made a judgment in my heart prior to going to the camp. I had made a judgment that this camp was some kind of place where, the gospel was being taught wrong, or that, the Bible was being taught wrong. And this judgment I had made was based on something that one of the pastors who serves at this camp had said. And so I had this predetermination, whatever it is that this camp is doing, it's probably bad. So I stuck with it, and I was signed up to be a volunteer, not a green team member, but like someone who waits on the lunch tables or who cleans up the fields, and there are lots of volunteer positions. And I was looking forward to participating from this kind of further back position. And I don't mean to indicate that the people who are volunteering are less useful. I was there as a mentor. That's the thing what they call the kind of the counselors, the camp counselors who work with the kids. So I was there as a mentor, but the whole time I'm there, essentially I'm being waited on along with these kids, like hand and foot. Like our meals are prepared for us. We go down to the archery range, and there's volunteers that are setting up everything. We go to different games, and it's all prepared for us. And obviously that's being done by people who are, we're just serving these kids and also serving me. 2 days before we were supposed to go out of the camp, I was calling about ride sharing or carpooling up there, and they told me that, hey, one of the other camp mentors was sick with COVID. We actually might need another mentor. So I said, hey, I'm here to serve, so I'll do what's needed. If you guys need someone to volunteer, I'll be a volunteer. If you need someone to be a camp mentor, I'll be a mentor. And I'm terrified. I was just terrified that it actually might be that I need to be a mentor, and I understood that the position of a mentor, I'm going to be kind of like these kids' parents for the weekend. I'm going to be needing to take care of them, make sure that they're brushing their teeth, going to bed on time, eating their meals, and whatever. And I was very scared to take up that position. But anyways, they got back to me, and they're like, hey, we do need a mentor. It's you. So I was like, okay, it's me. And, I got myself packed, ready to go, showed up on Friday morning, ready to meet kids. Somewhere over the course of the structured weekend, that judgment that I had made, that judgment that, this camp was, teaching the gospel wrong or something, or, they'd gotten their mission unaligned. I had to reconsider that position I'd made. I had to reconsider that position because on day one, I was looking at these kids, and, they're having a hard time opening up. They're having a hard time getting involved with the different events that were planned. The way that the camp had structured itself was so perfectly organized. It was so well orchestrated, and they've had years to kind of structure themselves in such a way that they did. Over the course of this weekend, I had to reconsider this position I had, that maybe their ministry music was wrong, that maybe the way that they preached the gospel was wrong, that and each of these different judgments that I had made about this camp, I completely had to reconsider. because I was watching the process of Jesus's gospel in effect. The position I came back from at the end of the weekend was that maybe faith trumps out theology, and I'm still trying to work that out in my mind. So I'm here at this camp going like, I don't know about this place. I don't know about this place's, gospel message or their church services. But over the course of the weekend, I watched 10 kids go from resistant, cold, depressed, sad. And by the end of the weekend, these kids were looking after each other. They were close knit. They were warm. They were sensitive. I had to rethink some of my position, on most of my position. I had to. In fact, I approached the pastor that I had made a judgment about, and I repented. I said, look, I got to humble myself before you, because prior to coming out here, I had a strong conviction against your ministry here. And then I've spent the weekend with these kids, and I was wrong. It's what I'm still wrestling with today, and it's been a week since I got back. I had this strong position that, theology and the pure gospel, and I'm, meanwhile, I'm still trying to make it through my Bible. But I had this hill I was dying on. And over the course of the weekend, that hill moved, and I was seeing faith at work. Some of the other camp counselors or mentors that I was working with strongly affected me, in such a way that I had to reconsider a lot of my position regarding theology versus faith. I wanted to make this video because, well, I've been thinking about this camp all week now. I've been thinking about what my purpose is through the week. I came back from camp. I left like a Twitter account and a YouTube account and, all these digital medias that I use. And I came back from this camp after, 3.5, 4 days, and none of that digital stuff mattered. I think I looked at my Twitter account once and I was just like, nope, I don't care. My videos I make on YouTube, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. But over this weekend, I had personal interaction with 10 kids, and 7 of those kids I got to know, not really well, but enough that that I could say they had an effect on my life. Learning their stories and learning the struggles that they're going through, it affected me. And now whether or not I affected their life, I don't know. And I wouldn't be so arrogant or presumptuous to be like, look, I changed these kids' lives. Like, no, these kids changed my life. This experience at camp changed my life. Some of it was hearing about their stories and hearing about the difficult lives that they've had. And so for 3.5 days, my job was to tell them that they're good kids, and to try and be supportive of them, to try and listen to their stories, to make sure they eat their food. So my experience with the camp was very impactful, and now I'm kind of left with this: what's my purpose? Really, I want to be doing what I did over that weekend. I want to be doing that every week. I want to participate in that type of event with these kids more often. So I've written a proposal and given it to some of the camp leaders, and told them, like, look, I'd like to participate in some sort of Camp Agape Light, some kind of weekly event. I'd like to do this. Whether or not it's feasible, I don't know. Again, the whole weekend was kind of centered around the idea of faith. Many times in my life, I'm trying to structure out what I'm doing and what I'm thinking and what I'm saying and what I'm recording or editing around my own knowledge, around my own ability to make sense of things. If I really believe that there's a God and my life is in His hands, there's a number of things that I would do differently. And I guess that's essentially what I'm wrestling with right now. Because it's one thing to say I believe in God, and I do, but it's another thing to act like I believe in God. And over the weekend, there was a man who had a strong impact on me. I was witnessing someone who lived as though they truly believed in God. They had no fear of the world or what it could do. But I watched this person over the course of the weekend. And when I came home, my thought was, I need to be more like that. If I really believe in God, I would be more like this. I wouldn't be as afraid as I am of the things that I'm afraid of. I probably would read my Bible more. I probably would do a number of things differently. I probably wouldn't have any shame or concern about speaking about my faith. It was a really good experience. And it was an experience that I'm still trying to make sense of. That weekend with the kids and with all the ministry that I had made a judgment of, and then I got to see it in effect. Like that weekend just threw a bunch of my preconceived notions into chaos. I thank God for that experience, because in that weekend there was a number of prayers that were answered for me. There were many weeks of prayer that were kind of brought into focus. There was this ritual towards the end of the camp, and it was a real simple thing where there's these crosses. We were in the church service, and they asked everyone to write one of their sins on this piece of tissue paper, and then on the back side of the piece of tissue paper, write down someone that the person would like to forgive. And so I was helping one of the other kids get this done, and then I had this extra piece of tissue paper, so I thought, okay, I might as well do it myself. I don't even know what I'm going to write. A thought, something that was still concerning to me, a sin of mine. I thought, okay, maybe just write that down. And so I did. And then, on the back side, I wrote down the name of a man who really hurt me. I brought it forward to the front of the church, where they had like a little Tupperware they were collecting them all in. And I dropped it inside. I went back to my seat with the boy who I'd helped write his things down. One of the other counselors came over to me and said, hey, lift the small boy up so he can see what's going to happen. And I hadn't really been paying attention, so I got nervous. I'm like, oh, they're going to read off all these things. And I just put down like a really serious sin. Like I was kind of worried, like my chest was pounding. I looked, and they were like nailing them all to these crosses, all these pieces of tissue paper with sins and people we need to forgive. And they nail them all these crosses, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And okay, so I lift this small boy up so he can see, and they lit torches underneath the tissue paper, and everything burned up. I started crying. It was a powerful experience for me, because it was this, strange visual thing. I call it a ritual because, I don't know, maybe it is. But nonetheless, it was this powerful moment for me, because this was something I'd carried for years. I'd been to therapy for this thing I wrote down on the paper. I'd made entire videos about this story, and they performed this ceremony, and I left that camp without that thing. And I'm still trying to grapple with that now too. That I came away from this camp a more freed person. Obviously, I'll be volunteering again next year, and if God is willing, I would love to participate in volunteer time with these kids each week. So if you'd like to, help out, there's ways that you can donate money. There's ways you can actually ensure that kids get to go to the camp by essentially paying their way. And and if you'd like to volunteer or take part in the camp, there's options for that as well. If nothing else, if you'd like to pray for the kids of Camp Agape, that'd probably be really good too. Gonna end it there. May God be with you. Have a wonderful week. Yeah, God bless you.
As you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I can see your heart and everything you've done. speak your word again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
Oh, it's been a week or two since I made videos. I forgot my, so.
So tell your parents and guardians to go to our website at campagapecalifornia.com and sign up today so you don't miss out on this wonderful camp and all the fun we're going to have. And we'll see you there.